Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another round of the Healer's Corner with Melissa and Maria. We're going to talk over some luck practices and energy work. And Maria, I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what you have to say on it because I know what I do, which is a lot of candle and stone and intention writing, but I'm curious to see what you have when it comes to pranic and kuna and all the other things that I've not learned yet. Because I feel like I take a lot of it and I'm like, "Ooh, throw that in the tool bag," and, "Oh, use this for later, put in back pocket, use later." So, yeah.
Well, basically, I utilize what's already available to us, which is the energy around us. Like I said, we are surrounded with a sea of energy. So with that, there's also like little nooks and crannies to it, like you got your frequency and your vibration. So I know in like law of attraction, they said, I don't know. Some people thought that you can just make a Santa list and that's it. No, no, there's more work to involved. So over the years, what I did is, I just kept myself aligned, kept myself in the positive, utilizing the energy. And then I said, well, why don't I just step into that vortex? Why don't I just go into that frequency, that energy? Because frequency, vibration is energy. Why don't I just step into that and that's it? And just keep myself there. So sometimes it's a little bit challenging when life stuff happens. So when I meditate, I created this third eye lab. It's something that I learned in Silva, and I've created this third eye lab, and I pinpoint myself there, and I called all of my spirit guys, angel guys, all of them, all my ancestors. I surround them, and in the middle of the circle, we're sitting in a circle. In the middle of the circle, I project, this is what I want to experience. So then I see the vortex, the frequency of luck. I see it. So that's what I do.
Why not do that? I know I tend to, um I use a lot of like affirmations to myself. I will carry certain stones for certain types of luck. Um, I'm a big candle worker. So I will set that energy in a tent and kind of imbue it into candles and like let them burn and then just
Hmm.
re up them, if you will, like once a day or something if they're long burning candles. And please don't leave your candles burning unattended, um, even at night. um, so when they're relit, like I redo that intention, I re-put that energy out there. But there are so many ways. And Maria, I can't remember if you were the one who was like, imagine the money flowing in so much that you're
That's
just having
me.
to kick it out of your way as
That's me.
you're walking.
That's me.
So a lot of times that I'm walking around the store, I'm visualizing that. And I've even used it in some health stuff, right? Because as we get older, more health things can creep up for a lot of
Hmm.
us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like as you're walking back to that first room, right? Most clinics and big hospitals, you go back there. There's your first like nurse type person who's taking your blood pressure and all that fun stuff, and then the doctor
Mhm.
comes in. It's like when I'm first walking back there, it's like results are good, these are good, or I'm finally going to get the results that I'm seeking.
Mhm.
Like I'm pretty sure it's this, this, and this, and they're finally going to see what I see and be able to treat that, appropriately. So I haven't really found anything to visualize while walking down the hallway, but there might be an aha moment that will finally click in and be like, hey, picture this as you're walking. But I mean, luck can be in so many different things. It's not just money, or
Mhm.
career, or it can get divisive into the types of your career, new clients or new projects. A couple of our friends and colleagues, their jobs rely on government funding. So it's like getting new grants awarded, uh,
Mhm.
things like that. So, if you are like, how would I increase my luck? Because Maria, like I said, you always have like such
Tools.
sense, and I always go, "Why did I not think of that?" Um,
Well, it's like so many people, manifest and luck is just such a big general thing, and is sometimes people are overwhelmed. And if you just keep it simple, and I learned this a long time ago because I used to do all of that. I used to try to put everything all at once, and then I got myself confused. So I said, you know what? There has to be a simple way. So I was just, I used to put myself in and I still do once in a while. When I do meditate, I see myself, I created a sacred space. And the class that I had this past Saturday, I helped them create the sacred space. Everybody know what a gazebo looks like. Everybody know what a beach look like. Whatever's personal with you. So I see myself there at the beach, but whether, not just seeing water or sand, I'm seeing money all over my feet. It's just there. I don't care if it's $100, a dollar bill. I'm just seeing it all over my feet. And it just keeps growing and growing. And when I'm manifesting, I'm just enjoying it because I'm seeing this underneath my feet. So it's like, and in a way, you just connected to the vortex. You connected to the frequency because money, the paper thing is just paper. Money is energy, success, anything that you want to experience, anything that's positive that you want to experience, a promotion in your job, um, a new way of learning things. I've always put it out what I want to learn, and every single thing has come to me. And maybe sometimes I'm not really paying attention. And that's another thing too. You have to be aware. If you're gonna put it out there and this is what you want to experience, don't forget about the little things. Don't forget about maybe seeing a dollar bill on the ground or maybe seeing a penny on the ground. It's there. It's may not be $1,000, but it's there. And you just pick it up. If you just let it go, oh, it's just a penny. I'm just going, well, you can say, oh, okay, we gave you that. You don't want it. So therefore, we're gonna hold back the 1,000. Okay.
right, that was one thing I noticed about myself at times. So I think it was last time that we were all here together that, I would say, "How does it get better than this?" Um,
Hmm.
and I caught myself because, here comes a local artist who's like, "Hey, I do," and my first response would be like, "No, I've already got that in the store." And then I'm like, "Oh, darn." And I'm like, "You know what? Come back here. Show me what you have."
Hmm.
And so I was undoing what I was asking for,
Yeah.
right off the rip. So, if you're going to put that out there, you can't tell the universe all of a sudden, like, well, I want this, except for here's all my bullet points now.
Hmm.
So it's important to be very specific in what you're asking for and not immediately close the door when the universe starts bringing it to you,
Hmm.
or they're going to be like, fine, I'll take this somewhere. I will take my ball and go home, you know, or go to
Or
some.
you're not gonna get this. We were so close to giving you this, and you're not gonna get it because you didn't want the little thing.
Mhm.
So yeah. So that's what I've noticed over the years, personally, that what I have experienced, everything I have put out in the universe, or things that I want, and that when you put things out in the universe, that is asking, this is what I want, and that is a version of luck because you want to experience that.
Mhm.
A lot of people misconcept is luck. Oh, I'm gonna get a promotion, a big promotion. I'm gonna win the lottery. No, 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 no. Luck is things that happen to you, and I call them little blessings. So you cannot disown that because you don't know how maybe in the corner the big ones are gonna come. So don't disown the little ones.
So when it comes to using tangible items into helping your luck, like what is your favorite thing to use in addition to the energy itself and setting that attention?
My besides putting myself in my third eye. I actually consecrated. I have several stones that I carry with me. I consecrated them because um, I wanted to connect to the stones, and the way I approach certain items, it could be a stone, it could be a talisman. I do have talismans. Um, this my pendant is something that I consecrated, so it's always by my heart, and that is my go-to. Um, there's other things that you can use. I have used them in the past. I would have like I don't use divination when I do readings, but I do have decks of oracle cards. And sometimes an oracle card, my favorite one is about it's called Earth, I think. I can't remember. Um and I do sometimes would draw a card with that, and then I keep it in with me, either with my healing tools, or I keep if I'm coming to the store, or I keep it with me the closer you have it to your heart.
And honestly, I think there's so many people, especially when it comes to luck, um, when it gets down into the healing energies behind, right? How many people say, if it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all? It's like, what is deep down that underlying reason why things are going wrong or things just will not play out? So getting down in there and into that heart reasoning of why,
Mhm.
things are
Mhm.
just not. Do you feel that you are undeserving? Do you maybe unknowingly have a negative kind of belief about fame, about money, about, which I think a lot of people, because when you think of rich people, you're thinking of people in high corporations that are in the news for doing horrible things. And so you're like, I don't want to be like them.
Mhm.
So to be rich like them, ew. So
Yeah.
learning to differentiate from that, and not put your own block up.
Whatever that person is doing has nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
It's just like whatever my mom and dad experienced or went through in their life, that's their lesson. It has nothing to do with me. Whatever my kids are going through has nothing to do with me. So once you let go of that concept or that belief system,
Mhm.
it's like, wow, everything, the whole entire opportunity, success, the doorway is there, and a lot of people don't realize that. Do not shut it down before it had an opportunity to manifest into your life. And a
Right.
lot of people shut it down first, or they put them self-esteem, they put the self-confidence, they put themselves down. We are our worst enemy. Oh, I don't deserve that because da 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 da. Da. We are our worst enemy. And you have to give a lot more. First of all, you have gone this far in life. Whatever you have gone through, whatever trauma you have gone, you got this far. So if you don't like the way your life is handling, find out about how you talk to yourself,
Mhm.
how you feel about yourself. Because your inner world will reflect what's going on in your outer world. And I didn't get that, in the very beginning of all this. I didn't get it until later on. I was like, oh, I did this to myself. And you have to own the responsibility of that. Um, here's a point. I thought I was doing really good. I was in Lilydale. I stayed there for the night, for the weekend because it was a workshop I was taking. So I put it out in. I go, what a better place to do it. I put it out in the universe. I would like to concentrate of everything that I have learned in all the healing modalities. I want time to do that. I don't have time to do that. Henceforth, COVID happened. Henceforth, being laid off happened. I was like, and then I was actually upset in the beginning. And then later on, I thought, oh, I did this to myself. Okay. I have to own this, because I couldn't understand why things were coming the way they were unfolding. So, yeah.
Mhm.
So luck is not just putting a wish out there. You have to pay attention where you are in life right now, what is going on in your inner world, and any kind of belief system that you and we can't really disown that because we were conditioned since we were children, whether it was family members or peers or teachers or what's going on in society. We were conditioned. And
Mhm.
you have to get down to the point of using your birthright of discernment. You have to discern what feels right for you and own it, you know.
Well, I think a lot of us, especially depending on what generation you're in, some of us that are older, we always heard you had to work hard to be
Mhm.
successful. So, in that case, your luck is going to require so much effort and so much, burning yourself and maybe even missing opportunities because you're working so hard in this one direction that you
Yeah.
may not see it. There was a really good book, and I'm trying to remember the title of it. But it was kind of like those unserving beliefs that a lot of us have about, luck and prosperity that we carry without even realizing it. And one of them was, you have to work hard to be successful, and I'm like, oof, mm, right here. Felt that
Mhm.
one. Okay, got it. Learning to delegate or learning to let go of things or learn, um, so you have time to allow other things to come in, work on those new opportunities that would be better for you. But, you don't have to strive yourself to that point
Yeah.
that you're in your own way. Maybe a good question would be differentiating the energy of the luck versus healing. Like, does it feel different for you when you're working on clients?
Yes. Yes. Because I am not only am I paying attention to my own energy and the surrounding, I'm also paying attention to the clients. And so somewhere along the line, when I'm doing the healing, I have to get the vibration up. And I had a client was worried about her job. And I said, what are you putting energy into that? You're putting the worry part of it. I kind of shifted, and she really didn't realize that she was doing that because she go, I'm so worried I'm not going to be have a position. I said, why are you worried?
Mhm.
Let's put that out of the equation. Why don't we see you're doing it best? You know your job. And she actually, a few months later, she was just so happy she did get a promotion.
Nice.
And it was like you putting so much and a lot of people don't realize it. Our inner world and our belief system, we do put the blocks. Every block is available to everyone. It's available to everyone.
Mhm.
But what blocks are you putting in? Is it a self-esteem, self-worth block? Is it a conditioning when you were growing up where you heard money is the root of all evil? And it's not. You know, it's like what blocks that you have taken on, whether you created or whether you picked up along the way, you need to start undoing that. And that
Mhm.
is a process. It's a process, but luck is available to everyone.
It is. Now I know for me, when it's just the healing energy that we're working on, it feels very effervescent. And for me, like mentally, it's kind of like a pearly white when that
Mhm,
energy is present. When it's luck, it's more of like a rippling effect that's kind of emanating out of the person and tends to be like this goldenrod color. Um, So it's not that often, unfortunately, that many people come in with that goldenrod rippling as often as I would be like, "Sweet." The
mhm,
majority already have this going. Feel free to use that if it works for you as a way to kind of like imbue that in with the intention that you are changing that frequency to be a more luck. And luck can, again, be across all areas of life, just
mhm.
work, relationships, friends, just, you know, driving down a road and you finally get every green light instead of red light, that's a good thing. And when that does start happening for you, it's making that mental like, yes, thank you.
Mhm.
To acknowledge that you're recognizing it and you're relaxed about it and you're willing for it to keep happening. But in working with a client, like that's how I perceive them differently. I'm sure there are people that they're going to be different colors, they're going to feel different. They're going to they don't really have a weight. I can't
No,
perceive the weight, but some people
no,
do feel energies weight wise.
yeah. There are sometimes what I do is I don't see I just surround them with because I my favorite go-to stone is the rose quartz. Is universal love. So even if I don't see or the vibration is not up, I'm projecting that to them. And especially when I'm whatever healing to any clients, I'm projecting that to them. And in the I see a difference and I look into a person's eyes. I'm the type of person I have to look at their eyes because the eyes is the window of the soul.
Mhm,
So what they look like when I look in their eyes before the healing is totally different. They have a lightness about them. They have
mhm,
a huge, it's like they let go a lot of stuff and there's a lightness about them. But I'm always projecting love because that's in pranic healing. That's what we were taught. We were taught to do that when we're doing a healing, to pay attention to where the person is at that point. And we're scanning them. We're scanning the individual. Where do we need to pinpoint on? Um, and I'm just projecting love. That's what I'm doing. So, and it's like for me, it's like a huge, big, fluffy candy cane. Pink.
mhm.
Oh, it's not black Melissa, it's pink.
As you're talking about it, I'm like, "Oh, it's a big, pink, squishy, stuffed animal," as you're describing it, and I'm like, "Well, okay, okay." I never would've went that way with it, but okay, and that's because the work, the energy work is different for each person.
Hmm.
That's why it's kinda hard sometimes to when people are like, "How do I know?" If this stone is for me, because sometimes they'll hear somewhere like it'll be hot, it'll be cold, it'll be the, and I'm like, well, that worked for that person that you heard it from, but that may not be the way for you.
Hmm.
And taking that time to understand what that difference is. So, if you wanted to start working, say like with stones to help bring that in, realizing which one is the one for you is taking that moment to be like, this one feels like this, that one feels like this, or, sometimes it is, oh, it feels lighter. Oh, and it feels heavier, maybe not as much. And heavy doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just
No.
means, right. So, feeling that out for yourself, because it's never the same for any three people in the room.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's just what are you drawn to? And that's one thing I'll tell customers in the store. I'm like, quit trying to read every little card. You're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to end up like with nothing. So, what
Yeah.
are you drawn to? Then read about it.
I have a take on that. I a lot of the books on crystals, they're great. They're great guidelines.
Mhm.
It was a guideline that was created by that person who felt a certain relationship with that particular stone and decided to write it down because that's what they were picking up on it. You are a spiritual individual. You can have your own interpretation. Like some people, they will pick up a rose quartz, that's universal love. Yes. But what does it mean to you? What are you connected to it? Is it calling you? Some people will, like my grandmother, when she was in this world, she always loved amethyst. To her, that projected love. To
Mm.
her, that projected strength and courage. She had a lot of amethyst all over her house. because that's what she ended up getting. It just pulled her. It just pulled her. So I the crystal books are great for if you're beginning. It's a great guideline, to understand about the crystals and their healing abilities. Um, and then start working with something that pulls you. Work with it. Talk to it. It's a being. It's a spiritual being. Part of Mother Earth's energy is in it. So talk to it. I remember one of a client was going, I can't talk to stone. They think people are going to think I'm crazy. I said, so let them think you're crazy. You have this connection with the stone. It's giving you what you need. It's helping you make this journey. It's a great tool. I have stones in my house. I talk to them like I talk to plants. I'm not very good at plants, by the way.
So when you're picking up a plant from a store, its friends are like, "Nice knowing ya." You know, a lot of older traditions believed everything was alive,
Mhm,
um, that it's got its own little spirit in there, and that, like, even a hammer for a blacksmith, sometimes, like, that day, like, it is just not working the way it needs to, so you give it a rest because it needs a day off after 6 days of being pounded and, heated and all that other like, give it a day of rest, and
mhm,
then, suddenly it's working fine again. So even the what was it, the Masons, I believed, knew this and followed that
mhm,
even the inanimate objects around you. So
mhm.
it always made me chuckle when I heard that because I'm like, guys naming their cars.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, then that means that car itself has an overreaching, consciousness, but
Mhm.
then each little piece and part in there, those screws holding your engine together, your gas cap, especially when it starts failing, e-checks. Like, "Look here, you little gas cap." Um, you're gonna fit right for the next 20 minutes.
Will not work for you. You're mad at it. She's mad
Oh,
at me, so I'm not gonna do whatever she wants me to do. She's mad at me.
yeah, be careful how you talk,
Yeah,
starting with the hammer.
exactly. Same thing. You're mad at it. Well, I'm not gonna do what you want me to do then.
Um, and it's sometimes, I mean, when my son now drives my old Avenger, and it's up there, and it's over 200,000 miles, and he's like, "Well, I had a problem." I'm like, "Did you pat the dashboard and call it a good girl? Like, did you tell her how great she's been for over 200 and, 20 some odd thousand miles? Go try again."
And it's the same thing with talisman and stones. You can program them for luck.
Mhm.
You can have one, and it doesn't have. It could be a stone. Like, it could be It might not be a citron, because citrons are guidelines is that they're the merchant stone, they're lucky stones and one. But if it's an amethyst, you can have a relationship with this amethyst, and you can program it to be your luck talisman. Take it with you wherever you are.
One of my, good friends and facilitators that, suggested at one point, like, taking a, like, amethyst geode, not a
Mhm,
super big one, but just, so size.
mhm,
And he's like, work with it and program it and tell it that anything negative coming your way, it's going to transmute and just put it out through all of those tiny little points.
mhm,
He's like, so let the bad stuff come in, negative opinions, negative this, negative that. He's like, it's just going to be a blessing anyway,
mhm,
by the time it runs through that amethyst. And I'm like, why didn't I think to do that a million years ago? But I mean, there's so many things you can do, to spur your luck along. But it's kind of like in all sorts of healing, the common denominator is always yourself,
mhm.
and making sure you're not your own block and your own obstacle.
Yeah.
So, like, I could have that little amethyst sitting there transmuting all day long, but, if I'm being crappy to customers, everyone that came in, if I'm, road raging while driving, like, I am creating that constantly for myself. So
Mhm,
I should not sit back and be like, Well, why is everybody always complaining?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm dumping out negative and that's the reaction I'm getting back. Yeah, you're always the common denominator. So if you sit back and you're like, why does this always happen at work? Why does this always happen here? Why do my friends never? Well, what's the common denominator? You are. So
Mhm.
what boundaries do you have or not have in place? Um, what changes can you make? And sometimes it really is the universe telling you that you need to change jobs.
Yeah.
You need to change the people around you to help support that growth. And that's why there's those blocks. So you are that common denominator. You're resisting that change that needs to happen. I mean, now, Maria, how do you realize when it's you? Like, how does that light bulb finally go off above your head and you're like, oh crap?
I when I like I said, when I started in this journey, I was just trying to do everything that I can, and I got overwhelmed with it. And I confused myself basically. And finally, there was not a family event, but there was an event that happened in my life, and I said, "Why is this happening? Why is this happening?" I'm having a conversation with my guides, and they kept on showing me pictures of me, and I was like, "I don't understand. I don't." And I was like, "Oh, now I do." So I I was completely blinded for that. Nobody actually told me that I was the common denominator of whatever chaos is happening or whatever good that's happening in my life. And finally, when I was asking for answers, they kept on showing pictures of me, giving me visions of me. And I'm going, I don't understand. So that's how I found out. But sometimes the universe will give you a swift kick, and that's not
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That's when it turns on the tough love option.
Yeah.
And the steel-toed boots go on. And you end up limping for a little bit after you learn your lesson.
It also happened with like like when you were a kid. I don't know if it happened to anyone. When I was a kid, I used to find dollar bills wherever I go. And as I got older, I said, how come that's not happening anymore? I didn't realize that I was doing it to myself. I was actually putting the block. Because a child, they're just so open. They're still
Mhm,
attached to spirit. They're so open. So a child will just like out of the mouth of babe, they will just tell you what like it is. So, so kids, they like some kids, they are very, they'll find things, oh, I found this dollar bill. I find, oh, they think they're rich and they're very happy. And that continues to happen. As we grow up and become jaded from the world, we're like, I want to recapture that. What did I do, when I was younger? And because when you're younger, when you're a child, you are just so open and you're not criticizing yourself. You're not saying you're not worthy or you're not deserving of this.
mhm.
So it's like, get back to the innocent childlike, and that's how I knew when I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I got pretty jaded as I grew up. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
adulting wasn't as fun as we thought it would be.
no, it wasn't. And a lot and some of the things that did happen, the stuff, the real upsetting stuff that happened in my life and also in other family members' life is because they um were just putting limitations and boundaries and just pretty much blocking a lot of stuff.
Mhm,
And some of them realized it, and some, like, I mean, I realized it, my brother realized it, but some of them, people go through life not realizing they are they have to have responsibility into it. They put some responsibility into it. And
mhm.
sometimes the universe may give you like big swift kicks and you still don't listen. Then, really it's time for you to really go in and just really have like a very serious self-awareness. It's time
Mhm.
to just
And that's
pick
usually
up.
pretty uncomfortable when it happens. Like, that whole eye awakening about yourself can be emotionally releasing once you realize and you let that go.
Mhm,
But I think a lot of people kind of go into that kicking and screaming because how could I be my own? I want this. Why would I be in my way? And refuse to take the responsibility because it's always somebody else's problem, right?
yeah,
It's not my fault that I got passed over the promotion because here's this new girl who got hired in over me, or it's a guy and this company doesn't like women, which I'm sure that that's the case some places. But
some
is it
places, yes.
because you haven't done your projects on time? Is it because, you've mishandled documents? Is it because and maybe your luck is that you still have a job, you
Mhm,
know? So it's kind of like really stepping back and going, what is my responsibility in my own luck? And, how can I start to change that? And so that's where kind of like wrapping back to the beginning of the conversation, that healing underlying part
mhm,
that is there in your soul, in whatever chakra, it's sitting there and being willing to look at it, own it, and then start changing it, for the better. But that realizing it and looking at it, don't be surprised for a lot of people, it's very, very emotional work. You know, like you thought you moved past it. No, you didn't. You put some duct tape over it. You shoved it in a box and stuck it on a shelf in the back. And you're like, ha, done with that. No, no, you're not.
mhm,
Because here it is
yeah,
again.
yeah, yep, and there were a lot of events that I had to go through that because I thought I was over and done with it. No, here we go, universe go, you need to look at this. I'm going, "Oh, no."
Right.
So it is a lot of work, to get to the point that you are at, and it's not gonna happen overnight to undo it.
Hmm.
So, a lot of people, say, "Oh, okay, if I do this, if I meditate, if I go and do a cleanse bath, if I do," it's no, it's an ongoing process. Luck is available to all of us.
Hmm.
It's just cleansing a lot of the things that you really don't believe in anymore, or you don't it's not a part of you. Everybody grows. So the question is, are you gonna grow and learn it and improve, or grow and just go with the motion? Because everybody grows.
Hmm. Just how
Yeah.
fast and in what direction is really up to you. I will say, I think an important like example of learning the to recognize the small luck, right? It's been a while now, probably a year or so, leaving the store, heading down to the bank, and hit every red light on Lorraine Road. And usually it's kind of impossible to do that because you'll hit so many and then you'll get a green, right? Just because of the traffic pattern and how long
Mhm,
that light is and the entrance to the mall. But somehow I managed to hit every single one. And one or two expletives came out of my mouth, like, seriously. And then I'm like, you know what? There's got to be a reason. There has to be a reason. So, I'm getting there, I'm parking the car, getting out, pulling out my little bank bag. And as I'm getting ready to walk in, it's almost like out of nowhere. She was not there, and then was a very sweet elderly lady with a walker who was going to need assistance to get in. And I
mhm,
happened to be there just in time to help her get in. And I'm like, you trusted me to help her. I'm gonna take
mhm.
that as the win for the day of why I had to hit every red light, so I would be here to help her,
Yeah.
because this was before that local bank had one of those reception desks right in the front where they're always standing and they greet you, so nobody in the bank would have seen her trying to get in, and it happened to be a windy day, and she was a very slight little thing, and, it's kind of like, well, if she managed to get that door open, it was gonna catch that wind and just fling her off somewhere. So I'm like, "Oh, I choose to see this was the good luck that I got trusted to help her
Mhm.
get into the building where it's safe out of the wind and she can do what she needs to do." And I find in looking for those and recognizing even the small things, instead of having a negative, like I hit every red light because it's like, well, you know why here? My day goes easier. I'm in a better mood and
Mhm.
more positive things will happen because I've set the tone for the rest of the day, no matter. And if it keeps happening, well, then I just keep setting it over and over again and allowing that to come in.
I'm I'm very grateful for delays. I'm very grateful for cancellations. I'm very grateful for what ifs because I know something else is better around the corner for me. And it took time for me to embrace that, you know. So my way of feeling lucky is I know that the universe has that protection for me. Because something else that I may not see or I may not know better is on the other side.
Mhm. Well, and
Mhm.
I would want that to happen for me, right?
Yeah.
So do unto others. So I'm hoping I'm the little old lady. I hope I don't have to have a walker, but if I do, somebody's willing to open the door for me,
Yes.
that would be my luck that, my good luck would be somebody would open the door for me instead of
Mhm.
struggling so it's kind of like putting out what you hope to get back, be the good luck and receive the good luck. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.